It's really significant that Chairman Levin has agreed to have these hearings. We haven't had hearings on Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And, as you know, and a lot of your audience knows, this policy has been totally ineffective. We've lost 13,000 men and women since it started. And, a lot of these men and women are in mission-critical areas like language speakers. We've lost about 10% of our Arabic and Farsi speakers at a time when we are doing everything we can to root out terrorism and keep America safe.
The amendment that you were hoping to introduce, what happened? You couldn't get the 60 votes.
Couldn't get 60 votes, and it's important. We didn't want to undermine our success for an ultimate vote on this issue by offering it too early. So I went through, I counted the votes, and we didn't have 60, and so I decided it's best not to introduce it now, better have the hearings and develop the record and get to 60 votes. So when we actually have the vote, we want to be successful.
Why aren't there 60 votes? That's what I'm curious about, because 69% of the population supports an end to Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Can you name names? Who are the Democrats who are not supporting this bill?
I think it's better not to, because we're going to convince them otherwise. I think it's better to give them time. This was also a question that I'd asked them on the floor. They only had a few days to look at the issue. I think the more we can develop the record and show the Senate that 69% of Americans do not approve of this policy, show them the massive cost in terms of talent and financial investment that we're losing every year because of the policy, and the fact that it just doesn't work.
As I'm sure you know, gay rights activists have been growing more and more frustrated. I had one email me who said, "I'm sick and tired of people saying they're going to do something and then pulling it after being told by the White House or leadership not to, and saying it because they don't have 60 votes." So this particular leader was suspicious. He thought that you were just so, don't do it, and in exchange, they said, okay, we'll give you hearings instead.
No, there's no exchange. I mean, this is our strategy. This is, I was working with a lot of the gay rights advocates on what's the best strategy to move this ball forward, and it was part of our strategy that if we didn't have the 60, don't introduce it until you have the 60, because you don't want to undermine your cause. So your friend here might not agree with that strategy, but it was our best thinking about how to be successful here.
When did this become such an important issue to you? How did this become such an important issue to you? I mean, cynics say, oh, well, it's all politics, that she's looking at the upcoming election, and that the support of liberals in the city are one reason why she was doing this. But are there personal reasons why you've taken this up as a cause?
Very much so. I really believe that the gay rights agenda is very important right now for America. I think, for example, marriage equality. I believe that's the civil rights march of our generation. And, I have many, many friends who are gay. And, the one story I tell is that, when I was a young lawyer in New York City, we worked till all hours. Any major law firm in Manhattan, as a young associate, worked till midnight pretty much every night. And the way things went, certainly in my law firm, is that over time, all the straight men would get married, within the first few years, start having kids. And so they'd leave work as soon as they can to be home with their families. But for whatever reason, so many of the women didn't find enough time to date, just didn't find enough time to get married. So all that were left at the end of the day were all the single women and all the gay men. And that was my life. So of my closest friends when I was a young lawyer here were gay men. And, when I look at their relationships, their partners, their husbands, their families, there is no reason in my mind that they shouldn't have every right and privilege as every other family in America.